anywhere, so that the transaction is relayed. It should be as safe as going to an ATM. So those are the challenges that we face on the online platform. We've seen is a big push towards prepaid cards now. This is a system whereby, because you may be afraid of using your card or your credit card or your debit card to do a transaction on the internet, we have seen some of our member banks are now rolling out what are called prepaid cards. So you load value to a certain amount. So if I want to do a shopping of 10,000 shillings, I put the value on the card, then use that card. That way, even if for whatever reason, if the information might be compromised, you will not to not access your bank account directly. So there's also a big push towards prepaid card. We've seen that working successfully in other markets within Africa. So that's one of the ways that we're looking at how we can have a prepaid platform where you load value and then use that card to shop online.
Mm-hmm. But there's still a bit of phobia around cards, because we've seen, at least from the media, people involved in card scheming, and you find thousands of cards on display. How are we addressing that issue of security?
Okay, the issue of scheming is now come and hit our market, and the reason is because we have not gone into what is called EMV, which stands for Europay, MasterCard and Visa. They have a standard where instead of using a magnetic stripe card, you use a chip card to do your transactions. Now, the cards are being predominantly schemed in other markets. In Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, you're getting a lot of transactions coming from there. But because in Europe they have upgraded their ATM systems, those cards cannot be used there because they will have to use the chip. Because we've not gone to chip in this country, what is happening is that you have Europeans, especially in the coastal region, Eastern Europeans coming in and doing transactions on ATMs. Now, the way the Visa rules are, if you have a card that does a transaction on your ATM, and that card had a chip, but because your ATM cannot take in a chip, you're the one who becomes liable. So you're seeing a lot of banks being hit by fraud. So one of the things we're doing as Kenswitch is to sensitize the banks in terms of moving to chip, so that the ATM, you will be using a chip instead of using a magnetic stripe card, which is very hard. It's very hard to duplicate a chip or to get that information there. So as we move, the market has to move forward. But what has happened is that you look at the risk in terms of how much are you losing on fraud and what is the cost of upgrading the infrastructure. But it has reached a point where I think we are now at the tilting point where the cost of the fraud is higher than the cost of going and doing and upgrading your ATM infrastructure. There's also a big push together with KBA and with the Kenya Bankers Association and the central bank to move or migrate to the chip environment. So within the next 2 years, Kenya should move to a chip platform.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So the plastic money future is at hand. Yes,
we're seeing, because of the mobile operators have come in and dominated the payment space. So you found that the card itself was not it was not pushed as aggressively as the mobile operators did with their mobile wallets. So there's been that lag in terms of moving that infrastructure to a point where you have now very good security. So you will see that, and of course sometimes in this market, the banks they also make their money on the interest side, so they may not be focusing too much on the payments. But now, because it's affecting their bottom lines, definitely there will be a move towards chip.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thanks for your insights into the payment system and how it can be improved to be able to include more people into the formal banking system.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for your time. Before we end Business Watch, let's have a look at the Forex market report.